Okay, let's get started with how to add in texture on the inside of the eye. And then if you have like freckles or something, the way that you would do that as well. So for this eye, like she has lots of like variation in her eye, and I'm gonna add it in with my pencil and eraser, just like I did with like everything else that was texture. So I can go through where I see there's like lines or like maybe like things get a little bit darker. I'm gonna go ahead and add those in. And then I can also go in with the eraser and like lift out some of those flecks. That's what I'm doing here. I don't want to lose my catch light. And you see like those details are starting to show up. I'm gonna soften them as well, just a little bit, because I don't want it to like look like they're drawn on top again. Like I want it to look like it's part of the design. If I feel like maybe it didn't get quite light enough, like that one actually pops out more, then I can like add it back in. I'm noticing that this dark part didn't come down far enough. So I'm gonna add in some of the dark. And then I can see like where it kind of fans out here on the top. There's also eyelashes that kind of come across here. So those are things that I would add in the texture phase. And then I can pop out some of those different qualities. Okay. So that's how you would add in some of that marbling. If you have like a freckle or something that you want to include, I mean, there's not really one in this picture in this area, but let's say that you have like a little dark like mole or freckle. I would just lightly add it in with your pencil if you want it to be there, and then I would just like soften the edges, and that way you can kind of like add it in if you want to. It should be subtle. It shouldn't be, you know, unless it's like something that really stands out on your face. It shouldn't be something that gets like a ton of attention. So it should be like really subtle. You could like just kind of dab it to make it a bit darker if you wanted to do that. So that's how you could add in freckles. And then the very last phase here is to eliminate like some of the issues that maybe were created through lines in the paper. I mean, you can kind of see that in this drawing. And so what you would do is just very lightly, like I am literally like almost like tickling my palm with the amount of pressure, but very lightly go over your lines. I would go in the opposite direction of the lines to try and calm them down. Like if you're seeing a lot of lines, now if you're seeing white lines, that is just what is in the paper. So don't worry about that. You just have to leave that there because that's part of the paper fiber. But like, let's say for example, like this little like crease mark. I'm just using my white pencil cap eraser to just tap on top of there. Now it's being a little stubborn and not really coming out. So for things like that are kind of stubborn, it's gonna be a little bit of a back and forth. Like you're just gonna have to find the place where like you can live with it, but it's not like super dominant. So I darkened that back up to try and see if I could, and I'm just like even just tapping over the top of it to try and remove. Your eraser, your moldable eraser is probably going to be a better go-to because the heavier the eraser, the more it's going to just like quickly soak up. I'm also like I am hardly touching the page with this pink eraser to try and lift off some of these issues. Just kind of tapping there, and then I can go back over it with just a blank paper towel, like no charcoal on it, to like blend it down a little bit. So that is what I would do for all the places where you have like creases or like weird issues happening with the folds in your paper or like lines in your paper, is just I would take, you know, maybe start with your kneadable eraser or your pencil cap eraser like I am, and just lightly like go the opposite direction. I went in the same direction, and then I went the opposite direction just to kind of calm it down a little bit, and then use a plain paper towel to go over the top and try and smooth it out. Typically this works pretty well and gets rid of any issues as far as those lines are concerned. You guys, good luck. I wish I was there to see the very end of this. Of course, I will see it to give you a grade, but hang in there. You know, if you have questions for me, I can answer to the best of my ability, but I'm going to encourage you, you know, use other people in the room that you know, or like go to some of the check stations, take pictures with your phone, do whatever you can to make sure that you're as accurate as possible. Really at this phase, I feel pretty comfortable that you know how to see light and that most of you know how to apply charcoal for light. So really this is like just where it's like pride in your work phase. Like this is where you get to have something you're proud of in the end, like, and that's the reason you push forward to better things. Because as far as I'm concerned, you've done a really great job, the vast majority of you, of identifying values and knowing how to apply them. So have some fun with it, you know, feel some pride in it. Go to all the extents that you can for the time that's remaining to make it look as good as possible. When you're finished, go ahead and just leave it in the drawer inside that folder because I am going to have you keep them there until I figure out at the very end, like I want to make sure you have a grade before you start taking them home and not having them available anymore. That way I can check any values that I'm unsure of. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll be in touch.